श्रीगुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम ओम सहनावतु सहनो भुनक्तु सह वीर्यङ्करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ओम शांति शांति शांति. The next text in the order of the prakaranas we are seeing of Bhagavan Bhashyakara. We started with sarvavedāntasiddhāntairgrathitaṃ, SVSSS. Now, after that, we saw 3-4 other texts. Now, we are continuing that. And here, as the fifth text, we are taking sadācārānusandhāna. That's our fifth text, sadācārānusandhāna. What does sadācārānusandhānam means? First, we will understand it in a general way as it is interpreted, and then we will delve into the real meaning. Sadācārasya anusandhānam iti sadācārānusandhānam. That is how we normally interpret it. Sadācārasya anusandhānam. Sixth case, sadācārasya anusandhānam. Sashti tatpurusha samasa we call it. Sadācārasya. Sad means good. Achara means practice. Okay. Anusandhana means inquiry or contemplation. So, contemplating on good practices. That is what is sadācārānusandhānam means in a general way. And then, if we are going to interpret in that meaning, then what is good habit? Sadācāra means good habit. What is good habit? Whatever is not bad habit is good habit, right? No. What is good habit? See, there are certain things which are accepted to be good habits which are followed by the traditional people. Like early morning when they wake up, they remember the God. Pratasmarana we call it. Pratasmarana. Smarana, remembering. Prata, early morning. At the morning, when you remember, when you wake up, you remember. But that is all old thing. Now, the moment a person wakes up, he picks up the phone, first to see WhatsApp, then after few seconds to see Facebook, then the news. That is how our day starts. But in the tradition, first you wake up, you hold on your hands, your palms in front of you and say, Kara Agre Vasati Vishnu, etc. That shloka. Pratasmarana, that is the first thing you do. Then you wake up, you put your foot on the ground, you chant, you give respects to that earth, the mother earth, the goddess earth, and then take bath, and then do the rituals, morning rituals called sandhya vandana, etc., or puja, etc., whatever it is. So these are the practices which good people who follow the tradition follow. Now, what is that here? Sadācāra. So, he says similar activities for us. Meditating on that is sadācāra. Generally, if you take it, that is how it will fit. Sadācārasya anusandhānam. But the whole text does not only deal about these practices which the karmakanda people, the people following the rituals, they do. It is also more than that. It is also something more than that. So, what does sadācāra really mean? For that, to understand that, we have to understand what is sadācāra. Sadācāra. What is sadācāra? Anusandhana. Each word. Sad means, we know Sad means existence. Sad Brahma. Sad means Brahman. The self. Okay. Sad means self. Current on the chibare. Sad means existence, self. Okay? Sat, Brahman. This comes from the root word as-bhuvi. As-bhuvi. Bhu, sattayam is the root word. To exist. Sat comes from the word existence. Sat means truth. Sat means satyam. That which is not negated in all three periods of time is sat, existence. Then achara. Achara. What is achara? Achara generally refers to the practice. But here, achara means asamantat chara. Chara, the root word chara, is gatyarthaka dhatu, to go, to follow. Asamantat, completely, diligently, properly follow. Or every gatyarthaka dhatu is has the meaning of knowledge. Asamantat means completely, follow means pervade. So that which pervades everything. Sat is self. Self is that which is omnipresent, all pervading. Therefore, sadācāra means that which is all omnipresent or that which is all pervading, the self, all pervading self. But if you say achara means asamantat chara, that which is completely chara, in the sense of not omnipresent, but in the sense of chara, not gati, to move. In the sense of knowledge, if you say, because all the gatyarthaka root word, all the root word which has gati, to move, meaning gati, to move, are interpreted as a to move, to know, and to gain. Gati, jnana, prapti. So we are interpreting it in the sense of knowledge. Asamantat, knowledge, complete knowledge, omniscience, complete knowledge of Sat. That is Sat. So that which is all pervading, which is Sat, that which is omniscient, which is Sat, that anusandhanam. If you are going to interpret anusandhanam as inquiry into that which is omnipresent, the self which is omnipresent, or inquiry into the self which is omniscient, that can be the interpretation. But what is anusandhana mean? Anu, sam, dha, that is the break. Anu, afterwards, following. Sam, nicely. Dha from the root word dudhai dharana poshanayoho. Dudhai dharana poshanayoho. Dharana, to support, poshana, to nourish. Okay, we are taking the support, to support. Dha, to support. So support, nicely support. After, nicely support. After what? After the shravana. After listening to what is taught, after listening to the Vedanta, nicely support means to be nicely established in that omnipresent or omniscient self. That is what this whole text is all about. It though starts with the nice, good practices, but it doesn't end with those good practices. Bhagavan Bhashyakara is trying to interpret those good practices which are accepted to be good practices in the world in the sense of the Vedanta. Because what is good practice? That which is followed by many who know the tradition. Now, there, what is the good practice there? Taking bath, etc. Now, is it necessary for the one who follows the Vedanta? Because in Vedanta, the body sense organ complex is a non-real. So should I practice all that which is related with the body sense organ complex? No, why should you? Then should I be dirty? You are stinky. So that is not how it should be. Therefore, what is the sense in which it should be interpreted for the Vedantin? That is explained here as sadācāra at the beginning. But that is not the whole meaning. That is why sadācārānusandhānam is also given the name sadācāra. It is not just sadācārānusandhānam. It is also called as sadācāra. That's the name given by Bhagavan Bhashyakara, sadācāra. Okay, so sadācāra, the right practice generally, but the omniscient or omnipresent self. Inquiring into it, meaning understanding it, meaning to be established in it. That is what is sadācārānusandhana means. To be established in that omniscient self, to be established in that omnipresent self is what is sadācārānusandhana means. Generally saying to inquire into the good practices, but specifically to be established in that omniscient or omnipresent self. Okay, now first shloka. Saccidānandakandāya jagadaṅkurahetave sadoditāya pūrṇāya namo'nantāya viṣṇave. Saccidānandakandāya jagadaṅkurahetave sadoditāya pūrṇāya namo'nantāya viṣṇave. Saccidānandakandāya. When we do Anvaya, when we try to understand the statement, we have to make the arrangement in the form of subject, object, verb, etc. Right? So that is how we are now try to understand syntactical connection we are making. So Saccidānandakandāya. First word is Saccidānandakandāya. Sat Chit Anandakandāya. Kanda means the vegetable that grows under the ground, like potato. Kanda means potato. Okay. Now, what kind of potato it is, or what kind of veggie it is? Saccidānanda. That is how people interpret a potato, which is existence, knowledge, and bliss. But this is not potatoes. Kandaya means Swarupaya, that which is of the nature of existence, knowledge, bliss. Kanda means nature, not potato. Because the next word says jagadaṅkurahetave. Jagat means see why they have to interpret it as potato. Because jagadaṅkurahetave. Jagat means the creation. Ankura means sprout, manifestation. Hetave, cause. That which is cause for manifestation of, sprouting of potato, sprout. Connects. But this is the inherent nature, the self, that which is of the inherent nature of existence, knowledge, bliss. That which is the cause for manifestation of the creation. Jagadaṅkurahetave. Okay. Now, what is that? Sadoditāya. That which is that which is cause for, because we say the self to be the abhinna nimitta upadana karana, which is both material as well as instrumental cause. So that self, which is both material as well as instrumental cause, which is the cause for all the creation, the whole cosmos, the whole creation, that which is it is not something which manifests also. Because we see the cause manifesting in different situations. Like the pot is the effect, cause is the clay, but the clay is also an effect of something else. So here, this self, this Saccidānanda Swarupa, the self which is of the inherent nature of existence, knowledge, bliss, is not something which came into existence. Sada udita, it is always udita means that which arise. It is always arisen, means it is always existent, means it is ever present. That means it is self-effulgent. Only when the sun arises, there is effulgence. Sada uditaya, that which is always arisen, means it is always effulgent, means it is self-effulgent. Okay. So the first meaning, self-effulgence. Sada uditaya means self-effulgence. That is not the only meaning I am going to give. Sada uditaya means self-effulgence. The self, which is of the inherent nature of existence, knowledge, bliss, which is self-effulgent. Next is pūrṇāya. Okay, self-effulgent, meaning it is the cause for creation. The logicians, the Tarkikas, they accept the cause for creation as a paramanu, atom. But atom is not something which is absolute. Pūrṇāya, he is absolute. But atom is not something which is absolute, because he accepts, the logician accepts earth atom, water atom, fire atom. Fire atom cannot contain water atom. Water atom cannot contain earth atom or something else. So there are different atoms which are not absolute. Pūrṇāya, it is not absolute, complete. But this self, which is a self-effulgent, is a absolute. Okay? Not just anantaya. It is not something which has an end. He already said it is absolute, but to remove any doubt, it is said anantaya. It is a unending. It is omnipresent. It does not have any limitations. Okay, this is the general meaning for these three words. But sadoditāya, pūrṇāya, anantaya, these three words are not used in that very sense only. It is also used in the sense of the three kinds of limitations which we see in Vedanta. Deshataha, kalataha, vastutaha. The limitation by time, the limitation by space, and the limitation by causation objects. So, when we say sadoditāya, it is ever existence, ever shining, non-dual. That means it is not limited by causation. Then pūrṇāya means absolute, which means it is not limited by space. The third, anantaya, it does not have end, means it does not have a limitation by time. Antaka is the name given to the Lord Yama, the killer, one who brings everything to end. End in the case of in the form of a time. So antaya means time. So there is no limitation of space, time, or causation. That is the self which is the cause for the creation. Jagadaṅkurahetave. This you have to understand. This is adjectified form. Like you have Dr. Mr. Kumar or Dr. Miss Kumari. Now Kumari is the name. Jagadaṅkurahetave. For that there is a adjective, a specialization which says he is a Mr. or Miss. For that, what kind of Mr. or Miss it is? Doctor. For that, doctor, you can add eye doctor, ear doctor, ENT, whatever. So you can go on adding adjectives to that. So Jagadaṅkurahetave. What kind of Jagadaṅkura? That is that that which is the form of existence, knowledge, bliss. And what is that which is devoid of the limitations of time, space, and causation. By saying time, space, and causation is devoid of limitation of time, space, and causation, we also negate the other three kinds of limitations called sajatiya, vijatiya, and swagata. Because we have already said there is no limitation by causation objects. Now, the objects can have these three kinds of duality. The duality of same class, duality of different class, or duality in itself. When there is no causation, there is no object, how can these three exist? So that is as well negated. You don't have to negate it separately, independently. So now coming to whom? Who is that Saccidananda Swarupaya? So viṣṇave. To him. One, the Vishnu, who is of the inherent nature of existence, knowledge, bliss. One who is the cause for creation. One who is not limited by time, space, and causation. To that Vishnu, viṣṇave, to that Vishnu, fourth case. For that Vishnu, to that Vishnu. Why is that in fourth case? Because the next word is namaha, salutations. So the Panini Sutra, namaha, swaha, swadha, vashat, alam, yoga, cha, says whenever there is namaha, swaha, swadha, etc. words, you have to use fourth case. So there is namaha, therefore viṣṇave is the fourth case. Beautiful. So to that Vishnu, my salutations. That is the first interpretation. Now, this is like saying that I am trying to understand the truth through the falsehood. You can never understand truth through false. You have to understand the truth only through the path of truth, not through the path of false, not through the path of error. It cannot happen. So, Vishnu, you want to establish, understand non-duality, and you are talking about duality. viṣṇave. So, we have to understand that the word viṣṇave said here is not saguna Brahman, meaning attributed self. This Vishnu here is not attributed self, but unattributed self. Why do you call viṣṇave then? Why do you say Vishnu? Vishnu does not mean the Vishnu of Vaikuntha, but Vishnu here means Vishulru Vyapto, that which is omnipresent. The self which is omnipresent is referred to as Vishnu. To that, my salutations, Namaha. Namaha means salutations. Now, here, salutation only exists in the state of duality. Here, there can be no duality, Namaha. Therefore, here, the salutations, there are three kinds of Mangalacharana we have already seen. This Mangalacharana is not of the form of Namaskaratmaka, to this form of salutation to God or Guru. This is a Mangalacharana of the form of a Vastusmaranatmaka, remembering the self. I am remembering the self, Vishnu, who is of the nature of existence, knowledge, bliss, who is the cause for creation, who is of the inherent nature of also who is devoid of the three kinds of duality of time, space, and causation. That is what is said here. So, Vishnu does not mean attributed self, but Vishnu is the unattributed absolute self. Okay, now next. And the word Kandāya means Swarupāya, not a potato or any other ground vegetable. Okay, so sarvavedāntasiddhāntairgrathitaṃ nirmalaṃ śivam sadācāraṃ pravakṣyāmi yogināṃ jñānasiddhaye. sarvavedāntasiddhāntairgrathitaṃ nirmalaṃ śivam sadācāraṃ pravakṣyāmi yogināṃ jñānasiddhaye. The second shloka says yogināṃ jñānasiddhaye, for the yogis to gain the knowledge. Jñānasiddhaye, to gain the knowledge. For whom? Yogi. What is yogi? Yogi is a word, yogināṃ, plural, for the yogis. Yogi is a word which is used both in the sense of a practitioner of yoga as well as one who is established in the yoga. From the root word yujir yoge and yujir samadho. From both yujir yoge and yujir samadho. Yujir yoge means union. Yujir samadho means in samadhi. To be established in that non-duality. So, for a person who is established in non-duality, need not practice knowledge. He is already established. Why does he need this? But sattang konja kammiya vaipa. Hello, paatu konja sattang kammiya vaipa. Okay. So, jñānasiddhaye, to be established in the knowledge. Who should be established in the knowledge? A person who is already not established, not the person who is already established. So, yogi here does not mean that he is already established, because the word yogi is from the Panini Sutra, tad adhite tad veda. A person, one who studies, is also referred to as yogi, as well as the person who is already established. So, here we are not talking about the person who is already established in the yoga. We are talking about the person who is practicing, who wants to get established. Now, here, who is that one who wants to get established in that knowledge? A person who we refer to as mumukshu. A person who wants liberation. But wait. A person who wants liberation does not necessarily mean the yogi here, basically. How can that be? Because a person who wants liberation, if he does not understand the crux of Vedanta, the important canon of Vedanta, that rute jnanatma muktihi, jnana evatu kaivalyam, only the knowledge liberates. So, if he does not understand that, then he is not a yogi here. So, we are not talking about mumukshu, but we are talking about jignasu. Mumukshu means jnatum mumukshu means moksho me bhuyati dridecha, one who desires the moksha. But he is now a jignasu, jnatum ichha jignasa, one who desires to know. For him to gain jñānasiddhaye, to gain that knowledge, to be established in that knowledge, we are talking sarvavedāntasiddhāntairgrathitaṃ. That which is gratitam means grantha. Grathi means to not bind. So that which is bound in all the Vedanta Siddhanta text. Sarvavedāntasiddhāntaihi, Siddhanta philosophy, Siddhantaihi philosophies. Vedanta teaching. Sarva, all. In all the Vedantic texts, that which is concluded. In all the Vedantic texts means in the text which establishes the non-duality. The text based on Upanishads. In all those texts, what is established is a gratitam, bound. Is a nirmalaṃ, pure śivam. See, in the previous shloka, he said viṣṇave. Now, he says, we are not talking about only Vishnu, we are talking about Shiva also. Shiva. Shiva means auspiciousness. Nirmalaṃ means mala rahita. Mala means impurity. Rahita. Nir means devoid of. One who is devoid of impurity is nirmalaṃ. One who is devoid of impurity means today, in the current scenario in India, there is a big debate going on about a subject, important subject, which is the mixing of ethanol, 20% ethanol in the vehicles. So the pure petrol is not no more available, it's costly. So the minister himself said, if you want pure petrol, pay more, that's all. So the general petrol which you get has 20% ethanol, and people are crying. Some say 20% ethanol destroys my vehicle. Some say 20% petrol ethanol means my mileage is getting reduced. All these drama. Now 20% or 40% or 2%, any mixture is a impurity. You have to understand that. Mala, any association with anything, whether it is good or bad, does not really matter, is impurity. So that which is devoid of impurity, nirmalaṃ, is śivam, is auspicious. Anything that which has association with something else cannot be auspicious. The one that which is devoid of association is auspicious. So, śivam, auspicious. Because it is devoid of any association. Dvityādai bhayam bhavati. When there is duality, there is fear. There is inauspiciousness. Here, there is no duality. There is no association. Therefore, it is auspicious. That auspicious, and that is why in Mandukya Upanishad, Shantam Shivam Advaitam Shantam, devoid of any impurity. Because that which is at peace is devoid of impurity. Shivam, auspiciousness, Advaitam, non-duality. Non-duality is that which is devoid of impurity and which is auspiciousness. That for that Shivam, sadācārāṃ pravakṣyāmi, to gain that knowledge regarding this Shiva, this auspiciousness, this self, sadācārāṃ pravakṣyāmi, I am talking about, pravakṣyāmi, prakrishtena vakṣyāmi, I am going to say nicely regarding the sadācāraṃ, the right practices. The right practices. Okay, we'll see this. Om pūrṇamadah pūrṇamidam pūrṇāt pūrṇamudachyate pūrṇasya pūrṇamādāya pūrṇamevāvaṣiṣyate. Om shanti shanti shanti.